Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio, it's time for Family Business Radio. Showcasing outstanding family businesses and the advisors who assist them.
Good afternoon. You're listening to another episode of Family Business Radio. I am your host, Anthony Chen. Today, we have an amazing guest by the name of Juli Shulem with Coach Juli. Coach Juli, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Anthony. It's great to be here.
Great. Thank you for coming on. So kind of share with our audience, what got Coach Juli started and what was kind of her story before becoming Coach Juli?
It's an interesting story for sure, and started so long ago. I actually started as I became an entrepreneur, solopreneur, before I knew what that was, honestly. It's what I just started doing when I was in college. I started helping businesses get organized. Don't ask me how I knew how to do that, but somehow I did. My dad was a very, very efficient, organized, methodical person. He was an engineer, so very orderly. And I was also someone who always managed my tasks really well, wrote lists, organized how I was going to spend my time. And I was doing that since I was like literally in junior high. And it was just something I just kept doing, even though it was not what I went to college for at all. And when I got out of college, I needed to make a living. So I decided, I can help people do this. I, for some reason, was able to see where deficiencies were. And I started working in dental offices, helping them to organize their practice and utilize their operatories for greater efficiency and increase their bottom lines. And I started doing that for dental office after dental office. And soon I got this reputation as being really good at increasing businesses and improving their productivity. And so I started working with realtors and lawyers and real estate agents. I just kept growing and growing. And I just kept doing that. And then larger companies started having me come in and organize. So I started as a professional organizer and efficiency expert. And I was speaking to companies and small businesses. And I continued to grow that. And then about 20 years or so ago, I realized I would love to be able to help more people, but I needed to be able to do it in a different fashion, because otherwise I'm going to be traveling all over the place. And I didn't want to have to be going everywhere to still help people. And I found out about coaching. So I segued into coaching, and I went and got my credentials and did all that, which needed to be done, and started actually helping people that I could, I was doing this so easily in person, figured out I can do this virtually as well. So I started helping people organize and increase their productivity and their business platforms virtually. And it just kind of kept growing from there. It's in a nutshell, that's kind of how I started. And I've never stopped.
So for those who are kind of listening in, the only reason I am even familiar with kind of your background is that I encountered an organizer for the first time ever when I was up in New York City. And from if I remember your story correctly, you're like the first organizer there ever was. Like you created the industry itself.
I wasn't the first, but I was one of the very few.
Mm-hmm.
I started so long ago that I started my organizing work about a year before the National Association of Professional Organizers even existed. Mm-hmm. So I was part of the Golden Circle members. I was doing this before. I honestly thought, because I didn't know anybody else who did it, never heard of this before, that I created this whole career. Mm-hmm. I kind of did, but I wasn't the only one who had done it. So it was a small group at that time. This was way back in the 80s.
Oh, we can say, I'm trying to give you some credit that you kind of were part of the co-founder, kind of spearheading the whole thing, because now you got all these cool kids coming in saying they're organized. Like, well, hold on a second, you're a little young there.
Yeah. It's an amazing field, and it's so needed. It was kind of funny when I started it. I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm sure I'm not the only person that's, organized, and, I'll organize the few people that need help, and then I'll have to find something else to do, because I'm sure that, eventually there won't be that many people that will need help with getting organized. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is not how that worked out. It turns out there are always people that need help with getting organized and just improving productivity in general. Mm-hmm. So I have never not had work. Let's put it that way.
So as you're kind of going through this exploration of initially dipping your toe in, or more or less founding by chance or by purpose, this organizing work, and now going into coaching, what part, because you shared the story of initially you started to work with dental offices and then from attorneys and realtors, like at what point during that journey was a hint saying, hey, you're really good at this, and this is like a whole consultancy career all by itself? Because you mentioned you didn't exactly go to school for this.
No, I did not. I was actually pre-med, and I was planning on becoming a surgeon. Mm-hmm. And I love helping people, solving problems and fixing things. So that's kind of, both of them kind of fall into those categories. Mm-hmm. And I started doing this and realized I really love creating order from chaos. And that's really what it all came down to. I was figuring out, I can go into an office, and I can't tell you how I can do this, but I can go into an office and I can see exactly what has to happen in order to get it from where it is to where it should be. Mm-hmm. And I also know how to do it, implement what changes need to be made. And I can also teach other people how to do it and maintain it for themselves. So it was just kind of an evolving process. And when people started saying, oh my gosh, this has been amazing, I'm now able to do XYZ, and my business has grown, and I'm able to expand, and I know how to do all these things, and I can find things that I need, and everything's coming together. It's like, oh, great, let me do more of this. This is awesome. I love the fact that I was able to have this impact on so many people's lives. It was very satisfying knowing that, oh my gosh, this is something that for me just seems natural. It was very natural for me. And there are many, many people that are very organized, but not everybody can help somebody else become organized and efficient. And I could. And I started speaking, and I've been doing that forever too. And I've trained people, and I love working with entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, because most people who are in business for themselves, start their own business, they don't have staff, they don't have support people, they have to do it all. And that's where I love to really help, because I am the same. I have had to do it all. I've been an entrepreneur. I've had companies with staff, and I'm a solopreneur now. I don't have staff. I have people that I hire, of course, but I don't have, support staff. So there's a lot to know and a lot to balance and juggle. And I love being able to help people to do that.
So then kind of now fast forward now to the current time as you're building your coaching practice, kind of share with the audience, like what is it that you specifically focus on? What kind of work or coaching, what does that look like if we were to start with you like today, day one? What's the problems that we have?
So most people come to me with a lot of overwhelm. They're not delivering on time. Their follow through is terrible. They don't know how to manage tasks. They don't know how to use their calendar. I don't understand why people do not know how to use a calendar, but they don't. And whether it's digital or not, but obviously we're now 99% of us are using a digital calendar. We don't have the little calendars that are on the refrigerator anymore. But utilizing a calendar, scheduling your time, having boundaries, having structure. Structure is huge and so important. Our brains need that. It's what we crave, but so many people lack the ability to put structure into their own lives. So I teach them. And it all comes down to, I'd say the overarching theme of everything I do falls under productivity. getting stuff done, whatever that means for you, whether that's, having success in your business, your personal life, whatever that is, balance between the two, and helping to be able to have peace and some serenity in your world, in your environment. So a lot of times people are finding that they do have some disorder, some disorganization is what I mean by that, some disarray in their lives, and they want to be able to put it all together and not have so much confusion and stress and anxiety around their environment and what they actually do for a living, and in their relationships as well. So it's a lot. There's a lot that I have to help people unpack and reframe.
Yeah. So can you maybe share with us a story or two? I mean, you can definitely keep the client's name. You can just replace what's called Anthony. But kind of share a success story of what that looks like at the tail end, because they're coming to you, as you mentioned, they're either not working their calendar or just overall disorganized.
Yeah, so many amazing stories. I had, here's a good one. So I had a woman who came to me and she said, I've got 3 months to get my act together, or I'm going to lose my job. She said her boss kind of gave her an ultimatum. And so she reached out to me and we figured out what the issues were. And bottom line, she had no structure. She did not know how to properly navigate everything she had to do and manage her tasks and prioritize and sequence. And so we worked together on this. And she had a 1-year-old little girl. So she had the issues of, she had to balance being a mom and working full time. And she had great support. So it wasn't a matter of, who do I help, get to help me with child rearing, her husband, and they had other help. So we worked together, and before the 3-month mark, not only did she not lose her job, but I got her to the point where she was able to do such an excellent job of communicating and following through and getting her work done in a brilliant way. She got a permanent contract. She got a promotion, and she got a leadership role. So she actually had direct reports, and she was just elated. So it was a really satisfying experience that I got to help save someone's job, her career. And I've done this many times over. So I've had a lot of people who have either leveled up, they've gotten promotions, they've gotten, maybe they wanted to start a new job, a new kind of career, and, went into a different company and got wonderful increase in their salary. And I've gotten several people off of their PIP, personal improvement plan, the last ditch effort before they might be invited to not come back. And I really enjoy being able to help clients to shift. Had another fun, interesting story. I'll share another one with you.
Of course, please.
That sound good? So I was working with this gentleman. So a lot of times people come to me and they want to just improve their skills. Oftentimes their communication skills, or something's not right with with their company. So this was a senior manager, and he, again, I'm going to keep the information neutral so that, for confidentiality. But he came to me. There was a lot of attrition in his part of the world. And he said, I don't know what to do here, but I think I need to work on my communication or something, because people think I'm just really difficult and I'm kind of rough around the edges. Yeah, that was pretty much the case.
At least he's somewhat self-aware.
He was I was like, I gave him credit for that. I was like, okay, good. We know, good. This is great. We can work with this. And so that was wonderful. And we started talking about how he can communicate and give feedback and constructive criticism to his employees. And he had about 150. So he had to be able to communicate in a way that would be well received, because what would happen is they would just quit shortly after, and he was losing people too quickly. So we role played and we talked about how he can soften his message and communicate, smile. He wasn't smiling. The first couple of sessions we had, he wasn't smiling at all. He was kind of rough looking and everything. I said, do you know what? Smile. Just smile and pay compliments. So he started to do that. And he was really, really surprised in a wonderful way. That made a huge difference. Then we shifted how he was communicating. Not only did the people stop quitting, so his attrition rate was leveled off, people stayed. He also ended up getting a promotion in the company. And his whole, everything about him, his whole life just kind of softened, and things just became nicer, easier, more wonderful, even his personal life. So it was just a really nice, transformation. And I love being able to help people with that. And there are countless stories. I've had people who are going to just, quit this, that, and the other. And we just do a complete reset, reframing, and they move forward and they're happy. And the things that they wish to have happen, their intentions and their dreams and their goals, they do.
Wow. So out of all that, I mean, what is something that you, I guess, enjoy most out of your coaching work?
Oh boy, I love all of it so much. I'd say the thing that I really enjoy most is helping someone who's really, really stuck. So I've been very fortunate that I have been sought after by a lot of people who are struggling with ADHD. And a lot of adults are getting diagnosed more and more these days because it's easier to get diagnosed. It's not as challenging as it used to be. And a lot of adults are finding that, their child is getting diagnosed, and then they start realizing, that's like how I was when I was younger. Maybe I have this. Most of the time they do, because it is hereditary. So I have been sought after by a lot of people, and psychiatrists and therapists send patients to me all the time, because I understand. I don't have it, but I understand it very, very much, because my son has ADHD. Many people in my family, many of my friends, it's just something that I'm surrounded by, and I get it. And I have the ability to be able to teach someone how to harness their strengths and accommodate their challenges and be successful despite having ADHD. And this was something that was very, very meaningful to me, because having my son, raising him and making sure he did not suffer and struggle with it, as I had been told by other professionals, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. You're going to have to watch out for this. It's like, not on my watch. No, this is going to go well. And he's a wonderful, successful, happy guy. And that's actually what brings me a lot of joy, is watching someone who's just feeling like so defeated and have them do a complete 180. Nothing better.
So if there was a way, I mean, I'm getting perhaps maybe a commonality of the people that you work with and coach, but if you were to, in your own words, I mean, who do you typically enjoy coaching or working with, if we were to paint a picture?
I really love working with those that are self-employed. Mm-hmm. So entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, leaders in companies, small to medium-sized companies. A lot of the really, really large companies, big, huge corporations, they've got coaches on staff. They've got people there. But smaller companies, they're on their own. and I can go in and help them. And I am an entrepreneur. I have been where they are. I am still where they are. So I get it. I know what it's like to be in their shoes. Who better to coach an entrepreneur than another entrepreneur? So these are the people that I really love working with, because it's just kind of how my life basically. And it turns out that the last statistics I had read, over 35% of entrepreneurs have ADHD. There we are. Those are the people that I can help, and I love working with. I get them.
So for those who are listening, what are signs that they know, whether it's themselves or perhaps a colleague, they know, hey, I think you should talk to Julie. Like, well, what should be signs they should be looking for other than having a frown 24/7?
No, and a lot of the people are really happy and cheerful. They're just like not getting things done. So a lot of times people will come to me where they are, they themselves, they might suspect they have it. They don't have a diagnosis, and it doesn't matter. I actually had someone say, "Do I have to have a diagnosis to work with you?" Oh gosh, no, not at all. If you're just having any challenges, I can help you. So people come to me. They are not getting tasks done in a reasonable amount of time. They don't know how to keep track of things. They lose stuff all the time. They are late to things. Their follow through is poor. They don't return emails or calls in a reasonable period of time. Their deliverables are not getting delivered. They're not getting things properly sent out to whoever it is they need to. They have difficulty with prioritization, sequencing, planning, project management. Their communication skills might be lacking as well. So these are the areas that people often call me when they're struggling with some of this stuff. I've had actually companies where they've called me and they said, we've got someone who's not really up to par, but we love them and we don't want to lose them. Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's great. That's the kind of thing I love to be able to help with. I'm just finishing with a client right now. Their HR person contacted me, said, "Hey, we've got this wonderful employee. She's awesome. We love her." But and she had already told them she has ADHD, so it wasn't a surprise. But they said, we'd like to get her some assistance. Can you help? Yeah. Yes. And taught her all kinds of skills and some tools and secrets of how she can make things easier, how she can manage the different responsibilities she had. And she's knocking it out of the park. Mm-hmm. It's been amazing.
So it almost sounds like it's someone that should have some kind of internal drive or a good sense of character. They just don't have the tools really to exercise it.
Yeah. If someone wants to get help, they want to be coached, mm-hmm. then I can work with that. If someone's just, that they're not really motivated to solve the issues, fix the situation, coaching is not going to be able to help. Mm-hmm. So I've had several entrepreneurs lately who, they're stuck for one reason or another. And maybe, they've been in business for a long time. They're like, okay, I'm kind of in a rut. I don't really know how to get myself out of the rut. we work on that. I'll figure out what the problem is. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't know what the issue is. They go, I'm here. I don't know how I got here. I don't know why I'm here, but I don't want to be there. Can you help me get from here to there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can do that.
So you mentioned about the word getting stuck or feeling in a rut. Well, what are, I guess, kind of the top 2 or 3 things you find in commonality, those who are there, that if they can just fix these 2 or 3 things that are, I'm assuming, is kind of in their blind spot, they can get out of it?
Mm-hmm. A lot of times it comes down to people not having the right kind of structure in their lives. a lot of times we think, oh, we'll just, do things as they come up and I'll just kind of handle stuff. Well, then you're just putting out fires. You're not really being proactive. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people don't know how to really structure their day or their week. And you want to be able to make sure that you've got good, and I know we hear this word all the time, balance, but it's real. You do want to have balance in your life so that you've got time where you're doing your job, your work, and you've got time where you're spending time with family and friends. You have some social time, and then you got to have some time where you're just spending time with yourself, where you're working on a hobby or reading or doing something that you just enjoy doing that brings you some sense of peace. And when you've got all that happening, then you have balance. But a lot of times people, they'll, especially people who are self-employed, they'll just work. They don't stop. And you've got to be able to unplug. And I do this for myself. I do practice what I preach here. I did this weekend. It was my birthday. And what I wanted for my birthday was not to do all the things I do all week long. Yes. I just unplugged and I didn't let myself go near my computer. I'm just going to do all these other things that I love to do. And it really gives you a chance to recharge. And a lot of people who come to me, they haven't figured out how to create that balance yet. Mm-hmm. And they're pushing. But the thing is, if you pull back and really take some time to just recharge, you're way more productive when you get back to work.
Well, just kind of being, I guess, a devil's advocate here is, especially for the solopreneurs or people where they feel kind of the whole weight really is on their shoulders, whether they're running a business with employees that are depending on them, the family's depending on them, and you're coming in, hey, you got to schedule a time out, not just organize, but maybe an hour or two just for yourself. And they might look at you cross-eyed thinking, no, Julie, I got to run my body to ground 89 hours a week. How do you help them kind of talk them off a ledge on that kind of mindset? No, I got to go full throttle 24/7.
Well, sometimes it takes a lot of convincing. Okay. But what I do is help them to see that when they take some time away and they can get a fresh perspective, oftentimes they also come up with some wonderful solutions to issues that they're trying to figure out. Mm-hmm. I had an executive I've been working with for a while, and one of the things that she realized wasn't happening, she didn't have enough time to just sometimes sit and think and create new systems and processes and kind of work through whatever was going on in the company. And so we came up with a way that she can do this she had a nice chair, comfortable chair in her office, and she would just go sit in that chair. So you have to kind of change your environment. When you change your physical state, you can make other changes. Your mindset goes with it. Mm-hmm. So you change your physical state. And we actually started having her do something really simple that didn't take a lot of effort. Coloring, just coloring. You can doodle, you can color, something you're doing something with your hands that doesn't require a tremendous amount of concentration, your mind can create. And you can start solving problems. And there's been articles and research lately showing that, we don't spend enough time thinking and creating and working on, just thinking about issues that we need to fix. If you can do that, then you can implement and get so much more accomplished. Mm-hmm. So when I'm working with someone, I always ask them, one of the questions I ask is, what are your passions? What do you love to do? What brings you joy? Because if you don't have some of that in place, you get burned out. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to go there.
And imagine that's a thing with a lot of employers right now, is that what we call it, the labor shortage, where they're having a hell of a time retaining talent because they're just saying, I'm done. I've had enough. And then they leave.
Yeah.
So
there's got to be that balance.
So for those of our audience that are listening and they want to either find a way to get unstuck or get out of their rut, or maybe get a permission to do coloring because the last time they've colored was in, I don't know, grade school. How can they best find you and reach out to you?
I'm pretty easy to find. My website is coachjuli.com, and Juli is spelled Juli. There's no E at the end. Just coachjuli.com. I'm super easy to find. I'm on just about every social media platform there is. My name, Juli Shulem, is I'm the only one with that name on the entire internet. Oh. So I'm pretty easy to find. You can also email me at balance@coachjuli.com. And I would love to, I'm very open to having conversations with anyone who is interested in finding out more about what I can do. And I also have an amazing course, an on-demand course called Your Life Productive Finally. And it's a 6-module course. And if anyone is interested in learning more, just send me an email, reference Family Business Radio, and I'll make it worth your while. I've got a special code.
Great. Well, thank you, Juli.
My pleasure.
Right. So kind of a follow-up question for the tail end to bring you back shortly is, the question is, since we're on the subject of either being in a rut or getting stuck, for those of our listeners, what would be your first go-to step or recommendation for them to get unstuck? So the question again is, for our listeners who are feeling that stuck or rut, what's the first step they should take now? This is kind of now going into our legalese portion of the show as Julie kind of thinks over her answer. So this show is sponsored and brought to yours, Julie, Anthony Chen with Lighthouse Financial Network, securities and advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates, Inc., RAA, member FINRA SIPC. RAA is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of RAA. Our main office address is at 575 Broad Hollow Road in Melville, New York, 11747. You can best reach me at is either by phone 631-465-9090. My extension there is 5075, or simply my email. Phone name is just Anthony Chen, CHEN, at lfnllc.com, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So coming back to you, Julie, the question again is for our listeners who are feeling that rut, or if they know of someone who's in that stuck state, what's the first step they should take to get unstuck?
Hard to answer that with one answer. So I'm going to give you 2.
Sure.
All right. First one, plan something fun to look forward to. Mm-hmm. Have something coming up in the weekend or coming up, a trip you're going to take, or something that you can actually look forward to. Secondly, plan your day the night before. You'll sleep better. You'll know what you're going to do when you wake up. You have something to start with. And for many people, starting their day with something that has the most impact, that will, it could be anything. So it could be something that would have a lot of impact, or something that just at least kind of gets you going, like make your bed, work out, meditate. Something that you can go to that doesn't take a lot of mental energy, but you can accomplish it. When we do something, we finish something, and we have success with that one little thing, it actually spurs us on to do something again.
Well, thank you, Julie, for that 1-2 cent worth of advice.
My pleasure.
Right. And now for a little bit of what's called Anthony's financial take, since we're on the subject of being stuck in a rut or looking to get unstuck. For those who are kind of feeling either the financial crunch, whether it's just change in jobs or change in kind of their career, or in their business or their personal lives, sometimes just kind of even having a conversation about financial planning can be very intimidating. Sometimes I get encountered with people who feel either letting themselves down, letting their family down, or just kind of beating themselves up a lot. One way to kind of get above and beyond that, as Julie kind of mentioned, is instead of looking at the potential first step through a mindset of scarcity or fear, start with something that's aspirational. Start with a passion, asking the question, okay, if money was not an issue, what would one rather be doing? If we fast forward 10 years out, if we do all the right things, what would that look like? And kind of changing the headspace of just reacting and panicking of things that we can't control, but shift the perspective towards looking at things that we can control. And that makes the whole planning process and at least taking that first step so much easier. Now, you're listening to Family Business Radio. Thank you all for listening in. Share, subscribe, like the podcast, and we all appreciate you all listeners tuning in. And this is Anthony Chen signing out.